Scientifically speaking, we're sharing the view. From labs to clinics, breakthrough shining through. With minds that inspire and stories to unfold. Scientifically speaking, the future's being told.
Welcome to Scientifically Speaking with Christine on Oz Arab Media, the show where we explore the science shaping our world. Today, we're entering a microscopic universe, but with a massive meaning. The world of Foraminifera, or for short, forams. These are tiny marine organisms whose structures have inspired our artist P today to create captivating sculptures that communicate climate awareness to the public. In this episode, we'll explore how art can make invisible science really visible and how beauty can become a call to action. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Christine. Lovely to be here.
My pleasure. Peter, if we can start straight away by asking you, first of all, before we talk about science behind forams, can you tell us how you first discovered them and what drew you to their forms as an artist?
Well, it all happened by accident, like most of the good things in life. My lovely wife, Rena, had a meeting with the Deputy Mayor of Venice.
Right.
And he, in a break in the meeting, was telling me how difficult it was for them to keep this World Heritage site in repair.
Right.
And vaguely, which I'm not quite sure how, the European Cultural Centre came to know of me through him and my site-specific and issue-based work.
Right.
And funnily, that afternoon, we were conversing with the manager, or in fact the owner of the hotel we were staying at, and this was at the Biennale in 2022.
Right.
And he was telling us that he and his mother came to Sydney for her to do research on the benthic foraminifera. So, which was very important to Venice because they were monitoring them to tell the authorities how the health of the lagoon was going.
Right.
And I thought, ooh, I smell the gift of a quest here.
Lovely.
So he sent me the research, I read it, and I became hooked.
Oh, that is amazing. Many people never have heard of forams before, right? How do you decide which aspects of them do you want to highlight in your sculptures?
Well, I'm mainly looking at the formal aspects, the structure of them.
Right.
There are hundreds of species of benthic foraminifera, and they all look different.
Wow.
And they're all microscopic. They're smaller than a millimetre, and many so small that you can't see them unless you have a microscope.
Right.
But luckily there are lots of photographs.
Yes.
And there are organisations worldwide dedicated to their study. So there's lots of source material, and I'm looking at the shells of these organisms.
Right.
And also their insides, which are single-celled. So they're can be very simple tubular things or very convoluted. So there's a wealth of source information available for the sculptor.
Amazing. Well, I hope to be able to go through some of them today. Your work is often described as merging science and environmental awareness. What's your creative process like when you start working with the scientific inspiration?
Well, most of the scientific inspiration is psychological, because I am basically a communicator of the issues that are important to people. And I guess I am reasonably well known for my attitude to research, which is based on community engagement and consultation, where I talk to people about the project or about the area and all the factors that impinge upon it, and then I guess distill that information into images or sculptures, or it could be 2D, it could be murals,
Wow.
but mainly I'm looking at sculptures these days.
Amazing. So by saying these days, have you always been drawn to the natural world in your art, or is this something that you most recent shifted to into your practice?
Well, I've always been interested in the natural world.
Yeah.
When I was young, I was always going to be a veterinary surgeon.
Oh.
But after working in a veterinary surgery on and off for about 6 years,
Right.
while I was at school, I realised that I'd been there and done that, and that there were other things for me to pursue. I think because the people that I come across are very aware of their environment, or at least the people I get to speak with about the public art projects that I do.
Right.
I respond to their interests. For instance, in Surrey Hills, there's a mural that I did 30 or 40 years ago, which has recently been redone. And the brief from the locals was that the local kids didn't ever get to see the bush because most of the people who lived in that area in Surrey Hills were quite poor, and they were council houses, and which is, I guess, a bit like housing commission.
Right.
And so that was what I painted on the wall was a response to that. And recently, when we redid the project, the council was particularly interested in encouraging people to plant the sorts of small trees and shrubs that would attract native birds to the area.
Wow.
So we painted in 30-odd species of native birds,
Oh, wow.
life size, on stainless steel, and we left 3 or 4 blank images of the birds without painting them to indicate the ones that were extinct.
Wow. It's amazing how really art and science can go together, especially in this world. It's amazing how really you can, let's say, represent science through art,
Well,
isn't it?
It is all communication.
Right, it is communication. If I want to go back to the Foraminifera, I'm trying to read it correctly, they have become indicators of the environmental change in marine ecosystems. How do you see your sculptures are helping the public to connect with those scientific ideas?
Well, as you indicated earlier on, not many people have heard of
Yes, they
these little
haven't.
beasties, with a very difficult name to pronounce. So forams for short.
Yes.
I believe that people only care about the things they know about. So if they don't know about something, like these minute organisms, which virtually nobody knows about, they're not going to care about them. Yet these little organisms built the Great Barrier Reef.
Oh, wow.
And Venice itself is built out of limestone. The benthic foraminifera, their shells made limestone.
Oh.
So these little organisms, which are going to be extinct by the end of the century,
Uh-oh.
actually built Venice.
Oh.
And Venice, all their water, a damp course in Venice is made out of limestone because it's impervious to water. A lot of the buildings are clad in marble. Marble is metamorphosized limestone.
Wow.
So these little organisms are supremely important to not only marine ecosystems, but for all of us. And yet, very few people know about them. So that's what I'm trying to encourage is knowledge.
Right. And maybe because you mentioned that these little organisms actually create the barrier reef, and this is something really important for the Australians because we know Australia is full of coral reefs. So maybe you can start your topic like that with those people locally, like to know more about them. Have you ever sculptured any of those related to the coral reefs?
No, I haven't sculpted any of those yet. But one of the important things that I think needs to be recognised for our locality is that there was a whole lot of research done on the organisms in the Georges River, not 2 kilometres from where we are now,
100%.
and from where I live.
Yeah.
And what was her name? I've forgotten. The original researcher, Rosanna Serandre Barbero, came here with her son and did the research in the Georges River. There are 27 sites just over there that they mined for evidence that would confirm their findings in Venice. So the Georges River has a direct link to Venice.
Wow, that is a huge scoop that we got today. We're that close to Europe and Venice.
Exactly.
Like we share those little organisms. That is amazing. Peter, do you see your art as a form of an advocacy? What role do you think art can play in climate action or in public awareness in general?
Well, it is awareness, and it's, I guess, one of the most basic science communicators.
Right.
You know, one of my heroes is Karl Krasnitsky, the great science communicator. So if I can go any way to help people understand the science of these little organisms or anything else, biological or otherwise, I feel it's my duty. And now I've forgotten your original question.
It's all right. I wanted to see, do you really see your art as a form of advocacy? Like, does it really do the job?
Yes. Because it will engage people in a way that pure science won't. Both are very important, of course, but it is a communication medium.
Amazing. So maybe people that are not very scientific or don't understand the scientific language can still understand what's going around them scientifically because of your art. And that's amazing. Thank you for that. Your work helps make abstract scientific concepts feel very personal. How do you people usually respond when they learn more about the environmental message behind your sculptures?
People usually respond in about 2 different ways.
Right.
Either they're not at all impressed or interested.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that's a truth in our society.
Right.
People have got other priorities and other pressures and probably don't want to take on any more difficult concepts.
Fair enough.
A bit like the National Party have done just recently.
Okay.
I can't understand those people because obviously they're intelligent but uninformed.
That's all right.
The art can inform people, but probably more in an emotional way, where it's not talking to them about facts, it is speaking to them in a heartfelt or an emotional
way, more visual way. It's the era of visuals nowadays.
Yes, a bit like how music affects people, though unfortunately I think the visual arts is more subtle than music. Music I think is far more directly effective, but I'm not a musician, I'm an artist, so all I can do is do what I do.
Amazing, I love that. Some might say art won't change the world, it's just art. But your work seems to be trying to change how people see it, like hear it, or learn it. What do you think art can uniquely do that data cannot do?
Well, again, I think it's an emotional contact with people. Data is really important. It's usually quantifiable, and anything that's quantifiable can usually be adjusted or changed. The arts affect people on an emotional, kinesthetic sort of level,
Right.
much more subtle, probably much more long-lasting in a way. And I think that's the important difference in the two. Both are really important,
Right.
but they affect people in different ways. And there's one more thing too, that by reflecting people's concerns in some sort of physical manner that they can probably interpret as having some esteem value,
Right.
like in a piece of public art, they then feel validated in their concerns and their opinions, and also it generates a sense of guardianship, not only for the piece of art that exists, but for the community and the area around them.
That is very beautiful, Peter. Amazing. I'm very curious to know, what's the most meaningful feedback you've received from someone who engaged with your work on this level?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
The thing that first comes to mind is one of my suppliers who helps me make some of my sculpture
Right.
realised that I couldn't realise this work all by myself and said to me, don't worry about paying us, we'll take on the cost of turning your clay models and your sketches
Wow.
into the digital files that are required so that we can send your work overseas to be made as maquettes either
Wow.
in China or in Victoria, and then when you feel that they're right, they can be sent to Venice to be made there.
Wow.
So, and that's an organisation called Tilt Industrial Design.
Amazing.
And
We
they've
give them a
been
shout out.
fantastic supporters, and not only by doing the work, but by encouraging me.
Yes.
You know, and
I
that's
think
really
they
important.
felt the importance of what you're doing and the message behind it, and that's why they decided to be on board with this project. What do you reckon?
Yes, exactly. They saw the importance of it, and these people deal with lots of other artists as well. I'm not sure how much they do of this sort of thing for them, but I am very moved by their generosity.
That is very lovely. Do you see yourself, Peter, continuing to work with forams or other scientific objects in the future, like future projects?
In the short and medium term, yes, because there is so much scope for exploration in the shapes of these things,
Right.
and there's so much opportunity to be able to show different looking sculptures,
Right.
and especially I'm interested in making more of them in bronze
Oh,
and using the maquettes that we've already got, because the three works that will be made in Venice will be in glass, in limestone and bronze.
right. And what we've got with us today is glass and
And a plastic model of one of the limestone works.
limestones. Amazing. All right.
And so I see that there's more to happen, especially in bronze
Yeah.
and probably steel.
Okay.
I could see some laser cut pieces of steel that are manipulated. But in the very long term, I have a project in the back of my brain, which I've researched in Paris
Wow.
the last 2 times I've been there.
You're stuck in Europe, from Venice to Paris.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a thing about Europe. The author Emile Zola wrote a book called His Masterpiece, which is about a painter creating this very large painting that defeats him, but I've identified exactly where Emile Zola got the idea
Wow.
of the view of this painting to the centimetre, and I want to explore that further.
That is amazing. Would you promise us that Oz Arab Media would be one of the first to try and showcase that next project?
Of course.
Amazing. So if you could collaborate, Peter, directly with the scientists or researchers, what would be the ideal collaboration look like for you?
The ideal collaboration would be to work with the School of Biological, Earth and Environmental Sciences at the University of New South Wales,
Right.
because they auspiced the research that was done in the Georges River by Dr. Alberto Di Albani, and who is no longer with us, unfortunately. And they still remember him, and they really like the idea of using some of his research turned into sculptures.
Wow.
Now, I'd like to develop the relationship with them. They are going to exhibit these maquettes and the works when they come back from Venice, the original works, and hopefully maybe there can be a longer term relationship with them, but that'll remain to be seen.
Well, I hope that all what you ask for come true, because it's amazing to see those sculptures come to life. We're looking forward to that. If you would advise young artists or designers who want to create art that speaks for environmental issues, what would you advise them?
This is not going to be a popular answer.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to your answer. I love non-popular answers.
Unfortunately, the cultural cringe in Australia isn't dead. I believe it is probably just as bad as it always has been. And government support for the arts at the moment, especially the visual arts, is very bad. So for younger artists, I would say to them that the rest of the world is interested in what we have to say and our point of view and our stories, but our own governments aren't particularly interested in investing in exporting or exploring or supporting those. And we are known overseas for our lack of support for the arts. I was once asked by a Venetian what I did and where I came from, and I told him I was an Australian artist, and he said to me very sincerely, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I said, "Diego, that speaks volumes to me. Thank you very much. I'm going to tell that story to everybody I meet."
Maybe that should be a message from our platform to hopefully make more support to the world of art or the art industry in Australia.
Yes, hopefully. But my message to younger other artists is don't expect too much.
Yes.
You'll have to do more than what you expect to get half of what is possible. You know, you really have to work hard and you need a lot of luck.
Well, good luck to you and to all the young artists. Peter, believe it or not, we have come close to our the end of our conversation, but I usually love to end it with some myth bustings. Right, so if I can do that, I'm going to give you a few statements which are definitely related to art and science communication, and tell us if they're true or false with a little bit of a why. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. My first one is art has no place in science communication.
Art is communication, so that is false.
I love it. You need to understand science to make science-based art.
False.
Okay.
By making the art, you understand the science.
Oh, wow. I love it how you're giving the right answer, like the right statement for it. Number 3, people only care about climate change when they see extreme disasters.
True for most people.
So they can't see it coming. They just see the disaster and then they start talking about it.
They don't want to see it.
They don't want to see it. But it's happening, isn't it? All right. Would you like to say a message? Maybe tell people to look before it happens or something.
I don't believe people can be led very well anymore. I've become very sceptical. And I probably shouldn't be doing what I'm doing, but I don't have a choice. Making art is a bit like having a disease or an addiction.
Oh,
you
wow.
have to do it. You don't have a choice.
Wow. I think it's a positive addiction, though. Number 4, kids won't understand environmental art at all.
They may not understand the data, but they'll get an emotional impact or emotional response to it. It might take a little time for it to trickle through their brain, but they'll definitely have a response to it.
Amazing. My lucky last. Beauty in art distracts from serious messages.
I would say that is true, except for the not lazy,
Okay.
or for people who are prepared to look beyond the beauty. It is false, but for most people it's true.
It's true. Amazing. Believe it or not, that was the end of it. And it was, wow, a conversation to be heard and talked about, hopefully many times to come. Peter, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights in how microscopic marine lives can really lead to monumental artworks. Your sculptures will give science a form for the public to touch, and that's a very powerful thing. So thank you again.
Thank you for your interest, Christine.
No worries at all. And before we leave, to our listeners, I would love to say, never underestimate the impact of creativity. Whether it's in a lab or in a classroom or a studio like this one, knowledge becomes powerful when it's shared, and art makes it unforgettable. Stay curious and keep asking all the questions. This was Scientifically Speaking with Christine on Us Arab Media. Until next time.